Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have back on our show today US journalist Paul Merca.
Hey Anna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm awake. I am awake. And that if I can stay awake, life is good.
That's right, because it's 9 a.m. in Seattle. So thank you for joining us early in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, the two times I've been on your show, I've had a good time. So it's all good. It's all good.
Let's make sure we keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, season is slowing down, and it's been some 3 weeks since the last show. And today we're going to look at key events in our sport, starting with road running, including a recap of the World Marathon Majors. We will also speak about cross country, Grand Slam track, and the Ultimate Championships, and of course, Athletes of the Year. So let's start with the road races and a very quick look at the New York City Marathon held on 3rd of November. The last World Marathon Major of 2024 saw victories by Kenya's Sheila Chepkirui and Netherlands' Abdi Nageye, meaning the 2021 Olympic silver medalist became the only athlete not from Kenya or Ethiopia to win a major this year. A record 55,646 runners crossed the finish line, making New York City the largest marathon in history, improving the previous best set by Berlin last September with 54,280 finishers. And another item of news that I find cool from New York is that Mongolia's Sarah Od Bat Ochir, who finished 26th at the age of 43, has decided to attempt to qualify for the World Championships in Tokyo next summer, in what would be his 12th consecutive participation. Go Sarah Od. So Paul, who or what impressed you the most at the New York City Marathon?
Yeah. First of all, I'm gonna just go off tangent just a tiny bit because and I didn't know this until after she came back, but my niece Jana was impressed by the energy of the city during the event. I guess she and a couple of her girlfriends went to New York. Flew to New York for the weekend just to have a girls' weekend out. And when they bought their tickets, had no idea at the time they bought the tickets that it was New York City Marathon weekend. But, she was impressed by the energy of the event. So, that was definitely something that stood out. Now, a couple things in my mind that stood out, Tamirat Tola, coming out to New York City to win, after winning the Olympics and giving it a shot, knowing that, for everybody else in the field, he was the target going in because, number one, he's the Olympic champion, and number two, he is the defending New York City Marathon champion and the course record holder. So, it didn't completely work out for him, but, I got to hand it to him for showing up and taking a shot. Also another thing, Abdi Nagi's quote kind of jumped out. He goes, I was thinking like a cyclist. If I can survive 36K, I got to shut the windows, bad boy. So, he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, considering he didn't finish at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, of course, Sheila Chepkarui's push in the last mile, just to get away from Helen O'Beary, and then, with the exclamation mark coming in the last 600. So those are the four things that jumped out at me.
Thanks, Paul. That was interesting, and maybe we have a new lover of athletics in your niece. You never know.
Yeah.
So let's now check out other road races. On 16 November in Lille in France, the Urban Trail 10 kilometers took place. Very good mark registered by Kenya's Christine Chesiro with 29:56. And this is the only women's mark of the month with a result score greater than 1,230 points. In the men's race, 24-year-old Frenchman Etienne Daguinot, whose biggest claim to fame so far had been finishing sixth at the 2023 World Road Running Championships over 5K, improved the European 10K road race record. Daguinot was in shape, having improved his PB over the half marathon just 3 weeks earlier in Valencia, bringing it to 59:46. But in Lille, he surpassed himself, setting the European 10K record with 27:04. That is the number 8 performance of the year, and a mark which improved by 3 seconds, the previous best, set only last March and also in Lille by his compatriot Jimmy Gressier. The following day in the Netherlands, Uganda's Jacob Kiplimo won the 7 Heuvelen Loop, the 7 Hills run over 15K in Nijmegen in 40:42 to set a world best, confirming his huge talent and versatility over track, road, and cross country. He took a whopping 23 seconds off the previous mark of 41:05, which his compatriot Joshua Cheptegei had run in the same race back in 2018, and which Kiplimo had equaled last year. Between Kiplimo and Cheptegei, they hold 4 of the top 5 all-time marks at the distance. The women's race was won by Ethiopia's Mizan Alem in 46:51. Now, Paul, what an amazing talent is Jacob Kiplimo.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe he's been around for a while, especially after being the youngest Ugandan to compete at the Olympics in 2016. And I believe he was either 15 or 16 years old. And then, of course, winning the World U20s in the cross country in Uganda, and then winning the senior race twice in his career. It's hard to believe he's been around that long, and he's still pretty young, relatively speaking. That's what's crazy.
Absolutely, and his win in Kampala was really important because Joshua Cheptegei had a crazy run, and then he exploded at the end of the senior race. So having Kiplimo take the under-20 race, it warmed Ugandan hearts.
That was fun being at that race. I must say. So that was I just remember the enthusiasm of the Ugandan crowd that was there.
Yeah,
so.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
So also on 17 November, the Great Ethiopian Run 10K took place in Addis Ababa. Now, it's not a top-ranked event, but the enthusiasm in the streets is amazing, and the results are good for a race held at 2,350 meters above sea level. The 2024 edition saw victory among the women for 19-year-old Ezayech Ayichu, who had taken silver in the under-20 race at the World Cross last March. She clocked 32:14 to finish ahead of Yenewa Nibret, 32:17, and Bozena Mulati in 32:28. Among the men, the winner was Binyam Mehari, who was sixth over 5,000 meters at the Paris Olympics in 28:26, ahead of Adisu Negash, just 1 second behind, and Yisma Dillo, 4 seconds behind. Another important road running news item is that the Valencia Marathon on December 1st has been confirmed. The southern outskirts of the city had been hit by disastrous floods, which killed over 200 people. And this was just 3 days after the successful staging of the half marathon. So the organizers were then busy taking part in rescue efforts. They have finally decided to hold the marathon and will donate €3 for every runner who crosses the finish line. Top athletes announced among the women are reigning world champion Amane Beriso and 3 other runners with PBs under 2 hours 20. Among the men, top names are legendary Kenenisa Bekele, whose PB was, of course, a previous world record, 2 hours 01:41. The 2024 Boston Marathon champion, Sisai Lemma, as well as 2-time Tokyo Marathon winner, Birhanu Legesse. Paul, Valencia Marathon could be a really interesting event.
Yeah, I mean, here, kind of funny you mentioned Valencia because when I was at the NCAA cross country championships, I ran into Julian Flores, who's the assistant coach of the Brooks Beast, which is based here in Seattle, and that, of course, is the team that Josh Kerr is on. And he, Julian was telling me that we've got a local kid from here, right here in Seattle, Dylan Maggard, who's going to attempt his first marathon in Valencia. So he's, I think he's like a low 27-minute 10,000 meter runner on the track, but he's going to take a shot at it. And of course, another one with ties to Seattle is Australian Izzybat Doyle. She 2-time Olympian at 5,000 meters, ran at the World Championships in Budapest in the marathon. So she's going to take a shot at running the marathon. For those who are fans of the NCAA collegiate program, there are several runners that are in the field with either American or NCAA ties. Edward Cheserek, who's a multi-time All-American and NCAA champion at various distances. Of course, Sarah Hall, and then from Great Britain, Alice Wright, who went to New Mexico. And of course, can't forget Melindy Elmore, who ran for Canada at the Olympics in the 1500 way back in 2004. And 20 years later, she runs the marathon in the Olympics.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, of course, one other thing, it's like, I looked at the field on the men's side, eight runners with PBs under 206. So it's pretty good. And, I don't know what it's going to take, but maybe Valencia ought to campaign to be a world marathon major. I don't know how that, how or if they'd get in, but I think you could make an argument on their behalf. They seem to get good fields.
Definitely. And they aim to have all the half marathon and marathon records. So that is their objective. We'll see if they get it at some point. But no, it's a really impressive race, and the organizers are a great group of people. So thank you, Paul. So let's take a quick look now at all the World Marathon Majors. Here are the top 3 in each of the 6 races. So in Tokyo, it was wins for Sotume Kebede and Benson Kipruto with very fast times. Kebede was followed by Rosemary Wanjiru and Amane Beriso. And Benson Kipruto quite not too far from the winner. Benson Kipruto came ahead of Timothy Kiplagat and Vincent Kemoy Ngetich. Boston wins by Helen Obiri and Sisai Lemma. Obiri followed by Sharon Lokedi and Edna Kiplagat. And Sisai Lemma followed by Mohamed Essa and Evans Chebet. Of course, Boston is not a super fast race because of the course. London, Perez Jepchirchir and Alex Munyao made it a Kenyan double. Tigist Asefa second and Jocelyn Jepkoski. Among the men, Kenenisa Bekele came second, which earned him selection for the Olympic Games, and Britain's Emil Keres was third. Then Berlin, again fast times. Tigist Ketema over 2 minutes ahead of Mestawut Fikir and Bosena Mulati, triple top 3 from Ethiopia, and victory also among the men with Milkesa Mengesha ahead of Sebrian Kotut and Haymanot Alev. Chicago, of course, the big thing was a world record in an amazing 2:09:57 by Kenya's Ruth Chepngetich. There she really destroyed the field because Sotume Kebeda was so far behind to 17:32, and Irene Chepet Cheptai closer to Kebeda. John Courier, also a very good time, 2 hours 02:43, and also almost 2 minutes ahead of runner-up Mohamed Essa, with Amos Kipruto not far behind. New York, finally, as we saw, Sheila Chep Kirui, just not very far ahead of Helen Obiri and Vivian Cheruyot, who seems to have now started to master the distance after a fantastic career on track. And among the men, Abdi Nageye, Evans Chebet, and Albert Courier. Overall winners of the series are Helen Obiri and Benson Kipruto. Now, Paul, what are your key points to retain from the 2024 Marathon Majors?
Yeah, so looking at it, from the whole, from the perspective of the whole season, out of the World Marathon Majors races, on the men's side, 3 marks in the top 10 performer lists got in. Kipruto at number 5 on the all-time performers list out of Tokyo. John Courier, number 6 in Chicago, and Timothy Kiplagat, tying for 8th on the all-time performers list in Tokyo. Ditto on the women's side. You have obviously the world record by Chepngetich of 2:09:56, and then Satori Kebede, who's number 8 all-time from Tokyo, and Rosemary Wanjiru who's number 10 all time on the performers list, also at Tokyo. So getting 3 top 10 all time performers lists on both the men's and women's side, in a year, that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really good year, and it's interesting that it was balanced between men and women, because the last couple years it was well, apart from of course Kelvin Kiptum, but let's say last year was more about women producing very fast times. So it's great that we have this balance this year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, Paul, you mentioned earlier the possibility that Valencia maybe deserves to be on the World Marathon Majors. Well, Sydney Marathon has made it, and they will join the series as the 7th event next year. And another contender, Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, passed its first assessment. They need a second one to join. And Shanghai must pass 2 consecutive evaluations to be admitted. So the series is going to change from next year.
Yeah.
Now, there were also top results in other marathons, especially Sevilla among the men and Dubai and Amsterdam among the women. And in the latter, Ethiopia's Yalenzer Fiehwala clocked the fastest ever debut with 2 hours 16:52. We will do a full recap of 2024 marathons in the next show after Valencia. In the meantime, I'd like to ask Paul, what were your 3 top marathon moments of the year?
And these are in no particular order, because I really couldn't do it justice. But I would say Sifan Hassan winning the Olympic marathon after competing and getting 2 medals on the track. I know Sifan trains in the United States for part of the year. I know she works with Tim Rowberry, and I actually saw her race back in June in Portland. But she every once in a while she'll come up to Seattle. So yeah, Sifan Hassan, winning the Olympic marathon just days after competing in 2 events and medaling at the Olympics. That is definitely one of my highlights. It's cool to see somebody like Sifan, who trains part of the year in the United States with Tim Rowberry, just do well. So I kind of felt a little bit of a connection. Sifan for a number of years was training in Portland. I think she trains in Utah, but I did get to see Sifan race at the Portland Track Festival back in June. So yeah, Sifan definitely was one of my highlights. Obviously, you cannot overlook the Chepngetich world record in Chicago. And then the third thing that comes out, we talked about it in the last segment of the World Marathon Majors, 3 men and 4 women in the all-time performer list. We talked about 3 women out of the majors, but you also cannot overlook Tigist Katama, Ethiopia, to get the year started in Dubai at 2:16:07. So it'd be hard to overlook that.
Thanks, Paul. Now, we basically agree here because I also had Sifan, of course, because taking gold medal in Paris on a tough course, just
Yep.
2 days after finishing third in the 10,000 and 6 days after bronze in the 5,000, that was really amazing. I mean, she's just crazy. She sometimes, you know, attempts and carries out these completely crazy feats that nobody would ever thought about. So
Yep.
huge appreciation for Sifan. And of course, Chepengetic, first woman to run under 2 hours 10. Hats off there. And then my third is still a woman because I am totally amazed with Edna Kiplagat, finishing third in Boston at 44. She is one really tough lady. So congratulations to Edna. So after road races, let's continue this brief summary of recent events with an overview of top competitions in World Cross Tour. So we're going to start with the most recent, 22 November NCAA Division 1 cross-country championships in Madison, Wisconsin. So Paul, you were in Madison. Tell us about the NCAAs and what athletes impressed you the most there.
Yeah. So first of all, I was impressed by the fact that there was no snow whatsoever. Although that said, 2 days before the meet, it had snowed in the morning and then rained in the afternoon. So when the athletes were out for the course preview on Friday, they had to close part of the course. It was the downhill right before the 1 mile and the 2K mark. They had to close that part of the course because they didn't want the athletes running over that and making it into possibly a giant downhill mud puddle. The fact that there was no snow was quite honestly a little bit amazing, because the last 2 times that Madison hosted the NCAA cross country championships, it snowed. So that made it quite. Not having snow made things good for the athletes as well as the spectators. So no complaints there. I see the pictures of Doris Lemongoli of Kenya from the University of Alabama, and Graham Blanks of Harvard. This actually in both races, there is a diversity of internationals in what is considered the American Collegiate Championships. In the women's race, in the top 10, 3 Kenyans, 2 Americans, 2 Canadians, an Australian, and a New Zealander. And then on the men's side with Graham Blanks, he became the 13th man in NCAA history to repeat as a NCAA champion. One guy I was actually impressed with was the man who got second in the men's race, Habtam Samuel of New Mexico from Eritrea. About right before the 5K mark, somebody stepped on him. He got spiked, and in the process, he lost the shoe. And so he ran the last half of the race with 1 shoe. And, I was listening to, I watched the replay of the race, and both Chris Derrick and Kerry Tollefson, who were on the call of that race, were saying that number one, it's cold because it was about 2 degrees Celsius at the start of the race. So it was pretty cold. So you combine the fact that you're running in pretty cold conditions, and number two, your stride is imbalanced because you're running with one shoe on and one shoe off, so that had to throw off his mechanics a little bit. But Samuel, he just powered through it, and there was a cool thing that happened after the race. Blanks came up to him after the race, like shortly after they crossed the finish line, asked if they could trade singlets. And so, Samuel took off his singlet, Blanks took off his singlet, and I think, there's pictures of them wearing each other's singlet after the race. So, that was an ultimate sign of respect by both of them. So, one little nugget I'm going to throw at you is that we talked off the air about this, but next weekend, December 6th and 7th, is the start of the qualifying period for the 2025 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. And a meet that you're going to see a lot of the top competitors running in is out in Boston. It's the Sharon Collier Danville season opener. A lot of these guys and gals are just coming off their peaks from cross country, and so they're going to try to get before they run off for the holidays. They're going to try to get the qualifying times for the NCAA championships. In Division I, it's there is no qualifying standard. It's just the top 16 individuals get into the meet. So whoever's number 16 when they cut it off, which is, I believe, March 1st, those athletes get into the NCAA Division I championships. So definitely watch Mark's next weekend particularly in the 3,000 and the 5,000. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if somebody runs on the guy's side low 730s, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody runs on the women's side mid to low 830s. So and on the men's side, probably I could see a couple people running 1320, and definitely I would say, depending on what happens, how the races come out, I could see somebody on the women's side maybe going sub 15. Because Boston has a reputation for having a fast track, and they always get they can come up with pace setters. In fact, I could see a couple of pros come asking to get into the race, just to get a fast time. So I think you have these all these factors coming together in Boston next weekend. So, folks, if you folks who are watching this podcast, make sure you're watching the results of next weekend's Sharon Collier Danville season opener from Boston.
Thanks, Paul. That's really interesting. And as you say, I definitely will check out results from Boston that weekend.
Yeah.
So let's go on with the World Cross Tour Roundup. The tour continues, and there have been 8 gold level events already in the month of November. So rather than review them all in detail, we'll do a quick roundup. Here are the venues and winners of the 8 gold events held so far this month. So on 9 of November, Cardiff, Charity Cherop of Uganda, and Kenneth Kiprop of Uganda. So a double win for Uganda. On 10 of November in Soria, Mercy Chepkemoi and Rodrigue Quizera. Then on 17 November, one of 3 gold events, Cinque Mulini in San Vittorio Olona, Jenesh Shimket and Matthew Kipruto. Now, let's stop here for a moment. So in the first 3, there were 2 17-year-old ladies who won a world cross. Uganda's Charity Cherop, as we saw in Cardiff, and Jenesh Shimket of Ethiopia at the traditional Cinque Mulini. The silver medalist at the under-20 race at the African Cross Championships last February, and 18-year-old Kenyan Sheila Jebet beat Olympic 10,000 meter silver medalist Nadia Battocletti, taking part in her first cross of the season, into 3rd place. So that's an interesting result. On the same day as the Cinque Mulini, another cross-country classic took place in Spain, the Italica Cross in Santiponce near Sevilla, with an illustrious winner among the women, Beatrice Chebet, double Olympic track champion and repeat world cross-country champion, took a clear win, 27 seconds ahead of Kazakhstan Daisy Chepkemoi. And the men's race was also very interesting, with Burundi-born Thierry Ndikumwenayo, now competing for Spain, pipping his former compatriot Rodrigue Quizera on the finish line, with both men awarded the same time. Also on that day, the Frenchman Jimmy Gressier took victory on home soil in Alone, and Kenya's Grace Nawobunya took the women's race. The first non-European stop of the World Cross Country Tour came on 21st November in Austin, Texas, with victories by the US, Emily Venters, and Kenya's Edwin Kurgat. And last Sundays, there were gold events in Carhaix and in France and Alcobendas near Madrid. In Spain, favorite Nadia Battocletti took a resounding win, finishing 1 minute ahead of Germany's Constance Klosterhalfen in a very encouraging performance ahead of the European Cross Championships on 8 December. In the men's race, Rodrigue Quizera took his 3rd consecutive win in Alcobendas and the 4th World Cross Country Tour gold victory this season, after triumphing in Amorebieta, Atapuerca, and Soria. And of course, Quizera logically leads the men's standing. So that's it for our wrap of recent competitions. And let's take a look now at the new meets coming up from next year. We're going to focus on the 2 major ones, Michael Johnson's Grand Slam tennis and the World Athletics Ultimate Championships. For both events, more details have been released in the last few weeks. So let's start with Grand Slam tennis and recap the format. So announced, created by Michael Johnson, 4 annual slams between April and September. It was announced 4 global cities, of which 2 in the US. We'll talk about this later. 3 days per slam, 1 event at a time, so spectators can focus just on that event, and a 3-hour broadcast windows. The format is to have 48 racers, athletes who sign up to compete in all 4 meets, and 48 challengers who compete in individual meets, and 4 racers and 4 challengers to contest each event in the slam. Now, what I find interesting, that all athletes have to compete in 2 events per meet. So in the short sprints, 100 and 200, in the short hurdles and the 100 meters flat, long sprints 2 and 4, long hurdles 400 hurdles and 400 flat, short distance 8 and 1500, long distance 3000 and 5000, and their final placement score is determined by their combined finishing order between the 2 races. Prize money, of course, we know is huge, a total of 12.6 million for the year, plus compensation fees, and the first placed athlete takes home a whopping 100,000 USD. So, Paul, what is your take on Grand Slam tennis? Sorry, I always say tennis. For me, Grand Slam is tennis. What's your take on Grand Slam track?
First of all, I got to hand it to Michael Johnson. He and his, his investors, they're willing to shake up the establishment with that Grand Slam track. Now, there's an argument that maybe in the minds of the general sports public, that perhaps the sport is stagnated, and it'll be interesting to see what happens coming off the Olympics, because if I had to take an educated guess, track is not in the minds of the general sports public now that the Olympics are over. And I think this is a way for Michael to say, hey, to the general sports television audience, this, my friend, is a professional sport, and by him shaking it up, maybe that's a way to get it out to the public. These track athletes, don't disappear between Olympics. So that's kind of my take on it. And he's got some big money behind it, and I really hope for MJ's sake that this bad boy works.
Thanks, Paul. Now, we now have more details on the program, on the calendar, set to start in April. So here we go. The first meet will be held in Kingston in Jamaica from 4 to 6 April. On 2 to 4 May, Miami. Now, that clashes with the Suzhou Diamond League meet on 3rd of May. 30th of May to 1st of June, Philadelphia. 27 June to 29 June, Los Angeles. Now, that clashes with the USATF New York City Grand Prix on 29 June. So talk about shaking up the establishment. So in the end, as we see, 3 meets will take place in the US. London had been offered the possibility to host an event, but UK Athletics declined, being unsure that they could generate enough revenue, becoming cautious after their recent financial troubles. Now, Paul, I was expecting there would be clashes between GST and DL events, but a clash with a major US meet?
Well, it's a gamble. No matter how you slice it. The question I have is, and this could change. As of now, I haven't heard, and maybe you've heard who MJ's broadcast partner is. I thought I might be wrong on this, but I thought that they were going the streaming route and putting it on YouTube. But as to the best of my knowledge, they don't have a regular network television broadcast partner. It could be interesting if NBC, who is USATF's broadcast partner and who's had the rights to the Olympics and the World Athletics events for the last couple decades, also picks up Grand Slam track. That could, if the execs in Stamford, Connecticut decide they want to pick up Grand Slam track and then have it go head to head with USATF's meet, that could be interesting. Although if I could see the possibility of having the New York meet at an early time slot and then segueing it to Los Angeles for Grand Slam track. So there could be a scenario where everybody comes out a winner.
That's going to be interesting in any case.
Yeah.
So let's look now at confirmed GST racers. In the short sprints, Fred Curley and Kenny Bednarek. Long sprints, this is Full House, Quincy Hall, Matthew Hudson-Smith, Musala Samukonga, and Jareem Richards. Middle distances, also all four confirmed, Josh Kerr, Cole Hawker, Jared Nugus, and Marco Arop. Long distances, Grant Fisher, Ronald Quemoy, and Luis Grijalva. Short hurdles, Daniel Roberts and Devon Allen. And on the 400 hurdles, Alison Dos Santos, Clément Ducot, and Roshan Clark. Among the women, short sprints, Melissa Jefferson and Daryl Nata. Long sprints, Marie-Lady Paulino and Salwa Eid Nasser. Middle distances, Jess Hull, Nikki Hills, and Mary Mora. Long distances, Full House, Sige Gebreselama, Agnes Ngetic, Elise Cranny, and Nozomi Tanaka. Short hurdles, this is a great field. Masai Russell, Serena Samba Mayela, Jasmine Camacho Quinn, and Akira Nugent. And 400 hurdles, Sydney McLaughlin Levroni, Shamir Little, Jasmine Jones, and Russell Clayton. So, Paul, what do you think of racers announced so far?
So far, this is a solid lineup. I think overall they did a good job recruiting athletes, and one guy I want to give a shout out to who's part of Michael Johnson's group is Kyle Merber. Merber was recruited by Michael Johnson to do the a lot of the recruiting. He's done a good job talking with the athletes and also with their agents. So Kyle Merber, I say so far he's done a very good job helping Michael in terms of getting some of the top athletes in this field. You know, I think there's I think I know that some people aren't quite willing to commit, so I don't know if that plays a factor. You know, whether that the running in 4 Grand Slam meets is part of their calendar. You know, there may be some people who are looking at the big picture, which is obviously the World Championships in Tokyo in September. So, you know, there's a lot of factors involved in this. But I think so far, Kyle's done a good job. There might, I know I'm going to get some pushback on this, but there might be some reaches on some of the athletes that they've signed. But once again, you know, a lot of it has to do with the fact that some athletes aren't willing to make the scheduling commitment. From a U.S. standpoint, you know, it does jump out that, you know, there's no Noah Lyles, there's no Sha'Carri Richardson, and there's no Grant Holloway, who you could arguably say that those 3 are the biggest names in American track and field. But, you know, I think on that, I would probably want to defer the question of why they're not in on this to their representatives.
Thanks, Paul. Now, what I also notice is that the only European athletes signed up so far, Hudson Smith, Duco, and Samba Mayela, they're all US based, which is interesting. Yeah. But on the other hand, there's already so many major meets in Europe that I don't see this as a major hurdle.
Yeah.
So let's move.
Although, you know, like you know, the one I would have liked to have seen somebody like Natalia Kazmarek in the women's long sprints. You know, that would have been good to have her in the field.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-mm. So let's move now to the Ultimate Championships. World Athletics has now provided more detail about its new global competition. So let's recap the format. To be held on even years as final event of the season. First meet in September 26, 3 days of competition, again, which is good. Evening sessions only, semis and finals, and just under 3 hours action per day. 8 to 16 top athletes in each event, and these will be world champions, Olympic champions, Diamond League champions, and the others selected based on rankings. 400 athletes expected, and this is interesting, unlike World Championships, there's no limit to the number of athletes per country. Now, disciplines. 100, 200, 400, 800, 1500, 5000. The high hurdles and the 400-meter hurdles. So already we see among track events, no 3,000-meter steeplechase. Field events, pole vault, high jump, long jump, triple jump women, hammer throw men, javelin for both, mixed 4x100 meters, new event, and mixed 4x4. And here the prize money is even more humongous because it's 150,000 for the winners. So, Paul, what do you think of the Ultimate Championships?
You know, again, it's another way to shake up the establishment. I find it interesting. You know, you have a mixed 4x100 meters. I don't know. That could be interesting. However, if you like watching train wrecks, go for it. you know, you know, I I don't know if you know, like you know, teams will have enough time to practice this, or you know, I I guess one question I would have is, how are those teams going to be selected? Do you already have to be competing in an open event to be on a team, or do federations reserve the right to pick who they want on their team? You know, in theory, in the 4x1, you would want the 4 runners who best can work together. But you know, I have no idea, you know, how this will all shake out. One thing that jumps at me is the fact that you know, numerous field events are out of the equation. Having been the in-stadium announcer for the USATF Throws Festival in Tucson, I am just freaking amazed that the shot puts aren't in this. You know, like when we had the USATF Throws Festival and the Tucson Elite Meet in Tucson, the fans go nuts over the shot put. And you know, we you know, Ryan Krauser's come to Tucson a couple of times, and I know he came pretty darn close to setting the world record in Tucson. You know, that was I believe that was in 21. Yeah, I mean, he was on a roll that year.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm really upset that not all events are included in this Ultimate Championships. Of course, Grand Slam track and athlos also excluded field events, but they're commercial ventures. You know, I really didn't expect World Athletics, the governing body of the sport, which should support all athletes and all disciplines, to go down the same path, discriminating against some events. Now, look at the 3,000 meter steeplechase, only event missing from the track. Field events are penalized, in particular, as you said, the throws, which are almost absent. Now, I'd like to compare top 3 result scores of 24 for some women's disciplines, which were excluded, and compare them to events which are in the program. Triple jump women is in. Now, the best mark of the year, 15:02, Théa Lafont in Paris, is worth 1,224 points. Next best mark, indoor in Glasgow, again, Théa Lafont, 15:01. And the third best mark, Leyanis Perez Hernandez in Monaco Diamond League, that's worth 1,216 points. Now, that's not a strong event. Hopefully, quadruple world champion Yulimar Rojas will be back in 25 after her surgery, and she'll be part of this event in 26. But still, the level of the triple jump women this year was not impressive. And if you look at the javelin throw, men and women are in, but honestly, the level of the women's event has been pretty poor this year. Flor Denise Ruiz of Colombia leads the season's list with 66 meters 70 set back in May, and that's worth 1,202 points. The next two, Mackenzie Little and world champion Haruka Kitaguchi, their performances don't even pass the 1,200 points bar. So, sorry, I don't think that's very good. You look at the women's discus, you had a fantastic performance by Jaime Perez, 73 meters 09, which is worth 1,313 points. Then 6 very, very solid performances by Valerie Allman, of course. Again, Jaime Perez, Sandra Elkasevich with the 9th best performance, 68.81, that is worth 1,234. So what is this? You know, why is discus out, which has had some very good performances, and 2 really poor events are in? And among the men, the injustice seems even more glaring when you look at result scores and head-to-head competition. Paul, you mentioned the shot put, and I am also really upset that shot put is not in, because it's produced epic battles. This year, they've been throwing consistently over 22 meters 80. Top 10 result scores achieved by 3 athletes range between 1,290 and 1,200 points, and yet they're going to be excluded. So the men's shot put was the 3rd strongest men's event of the year in terms of the very top result score, behind only pole vault and 400 hurdles. But the depth in the shot put is absolutely amazing. The 50th mark of the season is worth 1,242 points. If we look at other events, that mark of 1,242 comes much closer to the top, even events that were strong this year. In the 200, that mark is Fred Curley's 19.86, which is number 21 on the season list. In the 800, Hoppel's 142.77, which is number 27. In the pole vault, we don't have a performance which is exactly 1,245, but Menno Floon is the last one tied at 592, and that's worth 1,245 points, and that's number 33. 400 hurdles, Kyron McMaster, 32 position with 47.79. So I really think it's not fair. Look at the number 10 performances of the year in selected men's events. Shot put is number 1, and yet it's out. Number 10 is 22.84 by Ryan Krauser. That's worth 1,291. 400 hurdles, number 10 is Karsten Warholm, 46.98. That's worth 1,285. 800 meters, a very dynamic event this year. Number 10 is Emmanuel Wagnoni, 141.70, amazingly achieved in altitude in Nairobi. That's worth 1,276 points. Pole vault, 6 meters, Christopher Nielsen and 4 times Mondo Duplantis. That's worth 1,267 points. In the discus throw, let's look now just at the field events. Discus throw, number 10 of the season is Nicolas Alekna, 69.93, 1,243 points. Javelin throw, Anderson Peters, 88.54, that's worth 1,223. And in the hammer throw, it's Miklo Kokan, 80 meters 50, and that's only worth 1,210. So I really think this is not fair. Men's hammer is in, even though apart from Katzberg, the level has not been very good this year. But of course, the host country for the first edition is Hungary, which has a rich history in the event. And in the javelin, again, yes, fantastic performance by Arshad Nadim at the Olympic Games. Number 6 all time, 1,286 points. But the other performances were not quite as good. And number 7, Jakub Wadlich, is 1,224. So top 3 athletes, Nadim Anderson-Peters and Max Dening, had very good performances, but the next 3 are Neeraj Chopra, and he was good, but not extraordinary. But we have to bear in mind that Tata Communications is the host or broadcaster, so World Athletics needs an Indian star to market it. Now let's have a quick look at the women's events, and I'd like in particular to compare performances in the 3,000 meter steeplechase and the 800. So top 10 results in the steeplechase. That was a great event this year. Winfried Yavi has the best performance, 8:44.39, consolidates her number 2 spot in the all-time list. That's worth 1,285 points. But Peroth Chemutai, again, Winfried Yavi, Peroth Chemutai, young Faith Cherotic, they all had great results, as well as Beatrice Chepkoech. We had Peroth Chemutai moving to number 5 all time. Initially, she had moved into number 6, then she improved to number 5. Beatrice Chepkoech moves to number 7. No, sorry, Faith Cherotic moves to number 7 of all time. Beatrice Chepkoech, also very good time. And number 10 is Alice Pinault, who moves to number 11 in the all-time list with a mark that is worth 1,248 points. So a very, very dynamic event and really good performances. Now, if we look at the women's 800, honestly, it's not been a great event. So, of course, the top athlete is Britain's Keely Hodgkinson, and her 154.61 is indeed a good mark, worth 1,261 points, moves to number 6 in the all-time list. But behind her, it wasn't that impressive. Of course, you have 2 other Brits, Gemma Reekie and Georgia Bell. Then you have Kenya's Mary Moraa, Jamaica's Natoya Goal-Toppin, USA's Addison Wiley. The number 10 mark is Keely Hodgkinson, 156.86, and that's only worth 1,219 points. So why is the women's steeplechase, an event which produced great results this season, is not in the Ultimate Championships and a weak one while the 800 meters is included? So Ryan Krauser must have felt this coming when he announced in late October that he would launch the American Shot Put League in 2026 to help improve the focus and popularity of the throws. So congratulations to Ryan Krauser, and all my solidarity to the amazing shot putters. And if there's a stop of the league coming to Europe, I'll buy a ticket to go and watch.
There you go.
No, I'm really upset about the shot put, just like you. So it's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and check all the best results since the last show. Now that's a really short list this time. It's been over 3 weeks since we recorded, but only 2 performances, one among the men and one among the women, make our cut of 1,230 points. And here they are. Jacob Kiplimos, world best over 15 kilometers, 42 is worth 1,272 points. And Christine Cesiro with 29.56 moves to number 9 on the season list with 1,251 points. So let's move on now to Athletes of the Year, because we're at the end of 2024 and everyone from global, continental, and national associations is about to or has already selected their Athletes of the Year. So World Athletics has now almost finished the process. 2 finalists have been announced on 4 November in each of the 3 categories, track, field, and out-of-stadium events. And here they are. Among the men, Letsile Tebogo, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Miltiadis Tedoglu in the long jump, and of course Mondo Duplantis in the pole vault. And for out-of-stadium events, interesting that Daniel Pintado is there for the race walk, and Tamirat Tola for marathon and half marathon. Among the women, we have Julian Alfred and Sydney McLaughlin Nevroni. In the field events, Jaroslava Maruchik and combined eventer Nafitiam. And for out-of-stadium events, Ruth Chepengetic and Sifan Hassan. And the fan vote is now open for overall athletes of the year, and they will be announced on the 1st of December. 3 finalists were chosen by World Athletics for Rising Stars, and they are among the men. Mattia Furlani in the long jump, he set the world under 20 record. He's an Olympic bronze and a world indoor championship silver medalist. Jaden Hibbert in the triple jump had an injury-plagued season, but still he came 4th in the Olympic. He set the second best under 20 mark of all time with 1775, which is second only to his own world record from last year. And the third is the Netherlands' Niels Laros, who set the world under 20 record at the 1,000 meters, and he was 6th in the Olympics at 1,500. Among the women, the 3 finalists are Sembo Almayo in the steeplechase, world under 20 gold, 5th in the Olympic Games, and she was also prominent on the Diamond League circuit. Another world under 20 champion, Angelina Topic, high jumper, qualified for the Olympic final with a fractured ankle. And just 3 weeks later, I believe, she was winning the under 20 title. And the last one is the amazing javelin thrower from China, Yan Zhiyi, also an under 20 gold medalist. She set 2 world under 20 records. The first one she set in April when she was still 15. So she really is an amazing talent. Now, Paul, what do you think of these finalists?
You know what? I just looking at all the nominees for Athlete of the Year. I have no problem with any of them. I mean, they're all good. It's hard to vote against any of them because all of them, whether it's the men, the women, the rising stars, you have a case for any of them. I think the one, obviously, I would say the one that jumps out, it would be on the men's side would be Mondo. What he's done is just nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, I almost kind of feel bad for Miltiadis. I mean, because what he's done is pretty good, and I might have a slight bias towards Miltiadis because when the World Championships were in Eugene in 2022, I had the Greek team trained here in Seattle at the University of Washington. I had to get my local ties in, so I got to meet him, which was a pretty cool. Watching him work out at on the purple track of the University of Washington. So yeah, that's good. On the women's side, man, in the out of stadium event, boy, hard to pick between Chepngetich and Sifan Hassan. Again, you can't go wrong with either one of them. So I got no problems. In the men's rising stars, it's been fun to watch Jadon Hibbert. He's one that's a product of the NCAA system, competing collegiately in the United States. So all in all, good choices.
Yeah,
good choices.
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult to criticize any of those athletes.
Yeah.
Now, European Athletes of the Year were already announced on 26 October, and they're Mondo Duplantis and Jaroslava Mahuchik, while the European Rising Stars were Niels Lahos and Adriana Vilagos. Now, it's funny that last year's European Rising Stars, Angelina Topic and Mattia Furlani, who are both still under 20, are finalists in this year's Rising Star Award for World Athletics, but they were not included in the European Athletics nominees. So I guess they must have a rule that somebody who won the award once cannot be nominated again. That's the only explanation.
Yeah.
Now let's take a look at other Athlete of the Year's nominations around the world. A huge moment of recognition for athletics came on 31 October in Cascais, Portugal, when the Association of National Olympic Committees, ANOC, selected its best athletes from the Paris 2024 Olympics. So all sports included. The individual winners were Julian Alfred and Letsile Tebogo, who triumphed in Paris in the 100 and 200 meters respectively. Both also contributed to their countries being named among the 4 breakthrough NOCs of Paris 24, and they are countries who won their first ever Olympic gold. So Botswana, St. Lucia, also Dominica with triple jumper Thea Lafont, and Guatemala with trap shooter Adriana Ruano. So Paul, what do you think of these choices made by ANOC?
It's for the two that jump out to me are Julian Alfred and Thea Lafond. Again, both are products of the NCAA collegiate system here in the United States. So I've had the opportunity to see them compete over the years. So that's awesome, and I guess that's sort of a testament to the fact that whether you're an American athlete or a foreign athlete, the NCAA is one of the best places to develop athletes anywhere in the world, because if you're fortunate enough to go to school in the United States and compete at the NCAA at the highest levels of the NCAA, it's pretty darn close to getting professional training. Because not only you have access. It's not only the fact that you have access to good tracks, but you've got most of the top schools have world-class weight training facilities. There's you have access to nutritionists. You have access to mental health specialist. And, if you have access to that, your chances of succeeding are pretty good. So that's what jumps out at me.
Yeah, thanks. Now, USATF also announced their athletes of the year, and they're Gabby Thomas and Grant Holloway. So, Paul, what do you think of those choices?
I mean, solid. I mean, again, Thomas had a phenomenal Olympics. Winning her events and being part of the relays. No qualms with her resume this year. Ditto with Grant Holloway. Finally getting the Olympic championship added to his resume. I mean, the guy's won. Seems like $1 billion. He's won the world championships. Seems like every year since I've been around, which is a long time. But all kidding aside, it's happy to see Grant finally get that Olympic title added to his resume. So good for him.
Yeah, and he had an amazing string of races under 13 seconds this year.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
Totally deserved. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul. So Balkan Athletics also announced their athletes of the year, and they are your friend Miltos Tedoglu among the men. Another fantastic year by someone who has really won all the titles imaginable. And among the women, it's Jaroslava Mahuchik. So with her world record, it's difficult, not to say that she was by far the best in the Balkans. Now, Ukraine is not technically in the Balkans, but they have been expanding in the last years to include countries even outside what is technically the Balkan area. And rising stars from the area, among the men, Aldin Katovic. Now, he's the European under-20 champion at 3,000 meters, silver medalist at 1,500, and he won national senior Serbian titles in both the 800 and the 1,500. And among the women, it's an athlete we have already mentioned, and that is Angelina Topic. And she had another great year, improving to 1 meter 98, seventh in equal on the all-time list. But as I say, what really impressed me the most is that she competed with a fractured ankle in Paris and managed to qualify for the final, which then she didn't contest because in the meantime, they took medical exams and saw the extent of her injury. Mm-hmm. So, of course, on the 1st of December, we will know the overall World Athletics Athletes of the Year, selected this time in a new format by fan vote. So, here we go. Let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. On the 1st of December, next Sunday, as we said, Valencia Marathon, also Shanghai and Shenzhen marathons and Singapore marathon, all taking place on the first day of December. On the 6th of December, World Cross Country Tour Silver event in Saragossa. On the 7th, the first World Cross Country Tour Gold event outside Europe. It will be held, and it's in Eldoret. And on the following day, on the Sunday, the European Cross Country Championships in Antalya. Also on that Sunday, Guangzhou Marathon in China. A week later, 2 marathons, Bangsa in marathon in Chonburi, Thailand, and Taipei Marathon. On the 22nd of December, World Cross Country Tour Silver event in Amorillo in Spain. 31st of December, there's lots of Saint Sylvester races taking place. One of the most famous is the San Silvestre Vallecana in Madrid. Then the year starts again right away with a cross-country gold event in El Goibar on the 5th of January. On the 6th of January, Campaccio International Cross Country, also a gold event in San Giorgio sul Legnano. 19th of January, silver event in Cáceres. 25 January, the World Indoor Tour starts in Astana, Kazakhstan. 26 January, Cross Cup in Hanot, Belgium. That's a gold event on the cross tour. And on the 29th of January, a new addition to the World Indoor Tour, Belgrade Indoor Meeting. So the year is going to start with some pretty intense competition.
Yep.
So we're now at the end of our program, and it was absolutely brilliant having Paul with us on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I'll say it one more time. December 7th in Boston. Gotta make sure, folks, you watch the results of those 3,000s and 5,000s. So you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss those distance races in Boston at the Sharon Collier Danville season opener. And I think somebody's streaming it. So if you really want to watch it, you can find a stream to watch those races.
I'll find the stream because that Boston track is amazing, and with the athletes still being in top form, it can definitely be a very, very interesting event.
Yep, absolutely.
So thank you, Paul.
Yep,
thank
absolutely.
you all for watching. And on December 1st, we'll be at the World Athletics Awards, and we'll post athletes' interviews from there. Then we next record a show on the 11th of December after the European Cross. So see you soon in Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paul.
All right. See ya. Thank you.
Thank you, Emanuele. That was brilliant. You were not rusty at all. You did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
No, exactly. It was just one screen, which was, but everything else was brilliant. So great. Yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Gilberto's going to be happy because there's not going to be a lot of editing. So he's going to love it.
Hopefully whoever edits this can take out that incoming call. I forgot about. I forgot my hardwire phone in here. You know, it's like I turned this bad boy off, and I freaking forgot about the
about the landline,
the hardwire. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So,
thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah. When is this going on up on YouTube?
Hopefully tomorrow. I'll do the editing tonight and hopefully by tomorrow morning it will be up, so it should be ready to greet you in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you the link as soon as it's done.
Tomorrow morning, your time.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, my time.
Yep. All righty.
Middle of the night for you.
So, yep. And, I know Thursday is Thanksgiving. So, I know you thought that Thanksgiving was last week, but.
Yeah, because I thought it was the third, but it's the last Thursday. I thought it was the third Thursday, but it's the last Thursday, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it would have been, like I said, come to think of it, that really would have been tough to record last Friday.
No, it would have been crazy.
Yeah.
I would have been stressed out. Yeah, it didn't make sense. No, honestly. Yep. And then it was good because you were able to talk about the NCAAs, so it was better. Who cares if there's a longer gap between shows? What's important is that our guests feel comfortable and that we have good content.
Yeah. Hey, anything to make this bad boy fly. That's for sure. So.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Paul. Ciao, Emanuele. Ciao, Gilberto.
All right. Ciao.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I'm about ready to go for a run in a little bit. So, and then, gosh, what's crazy is that next week I turn 65.
What? Nah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Woo. When next week?
On the 6th, which is the opening day of the NCAA indoor qualifying period.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Great.
All right. I'm going to take care. See ya.
Take care. Thanks.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.